Hi everyone, welcome to Pbolic Notes. My name is Michael Kirkchin, and thank you so much for coming to my channel. Today is Friday, April the 15th, 2022, and my video today is going to be on a very interesting video that I watched at the Bitcoin conference. I watched it on online, where it was a keynote speech by Peter Thiel that was done on April the 7th. So I took a lot of notes from that speech. Some of the things that Peter said made a lot of sense. Other things I didn't totally agree with, and I will share some of these points with you today. So before I get started, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also click on the notifications. That way, whenever I post new content, you'll be notified by email. And also, whatever I'm sharing with you today is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm an enthusiast in the space. I invest in the cryptocurrency space. And please take everything that I say with a grain of salt and do your own research with your own financial advisors. So let's get started. One of the first points that Peter spoke about was that he had actually, it's obviously best for you to watch this actual whole keynote that he did. It's approximately half an hour long. It's very good, very informative, and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. So in there, at approximately somewhere around the 4-minute 40-second mark, he had a chart up where he said he showed on his chart how the velocity and value of money are kind of inversely proportional. So meaning that when something is high velocity, it's got low value, and for this he gave an example as a Visa. The Visa credit card payment system. And also the second thing is that when something has a lot of value, low velocity, would be an example that he gave was gold bullion, which makes sense. Gold doesn't have the same velocity of being traded as much as Visa, but it's got a store of value as it can be used as value. And what it got very interesting was as you watch a few more minutes, and then Peter then compared Ethereum to Visa, meaning that it's low value, high velocity. And he said Bitcoin is like gold bullion, where it's low, high value and low velocity, meaning that it's got a lot of value, but it doesn't have the same velocity as Ethereum. So that obviously, personally, I don't agree with, even though I've invested in both of these protocols, Ethereum and Bitcoin. I find them as complete different protocols. Bitcoin is the store of value. It's really the major token of the cryptocurrency space. It really carries a lot of this cryptocurrency space on its back because the Bitcoin dominance as of today is still at over 40%. But Ethereum does many things very well that other protocols won't be able to do as well. Like, for example, the way Ethereum is the leader in this DeFi space with the NFTs, with the gaming, the way Ethereum is used as well for I mean, really, it's for money transfer. It's a phenomenal protocol, and it's completely different than what Bitcoin is. Ethereum has many competitors that are competing with it as well. So, and it's still the market leader for the space. So, so obviously, someone could be completely pro Bitcoin or pro Ethereum, but it's not really one of those things where you could say Ethereum is comparable to Visa and Bitcoin is comparable to gold bullion. That point from Peter Thiel, I disagree with. Then another point that he gave was that how the market caps, he said, were kind of for Bitcoin, he said it's very undervalued. In this video, at the time of his speech, Bitcoin's market cap was at 831 billion and Ethereum's market cap was 386 billion. And what Peter said was that if we look at this versus, let's say, and he went back to the 1970s, and he said that he kind of showed how in the 1970s, gold had a very good run, and the stock market was kind of, the S&P 500 was kind of so-so, was really not really going up much. It kind of was staying similar to what it was for the entire those entire 10 years of the 1970s. And then he, in his video, he also fast forwarded to today, where gold's market cap is at 12 trillion. And back in the 1970s, gold was at approximately at 2.5, or he used January 1980, that gold was at 2.5 trillion. the global equities were at 2.5 trillion. And today he said gold is at 12 trillion, and the global equities are at something like in range of $115 trillion. And he was saying kind of like how Bitcoin should be really the same market cap as a global equities. So meaning that when it's at around 831 billion, that's severely underpriced. And he said Ethereum is not severely underpriced because Ethereum is kind of priced the same way as Visa's market cap is, because Visa's market cap is around 460 billion and Ethereum is around 386 billion. So they're kind of comparable. But he said Bitcoin, as you compare it to gold, it's underpriced by tenfold, and as you compare it to the global equities, it's underpriced by a lot more. So these I completely really disagree with what Peter Thiel was saying. And what I will do is I believe it's best if I share my computer screen, and I will then show you why I'm saying so. If I look at the numbers, the exact numbers that he was using, so he was saying that basically, if we look at Bitcoin's market cap, it's at approximately at 831 billion he was using. So basically, we're going to put many zeros here. This is where it's at. And then he was saying, and if I look at where gold is at today, he's using a number of 12.5 trillion or 12 trillion for gold's market cap. So it's going to be 12 million, and this is going to be billion, and here's going to be at 12 trillion. So then in his opinion, he was saying, well, listen, you know what? I mean, if we have Bitcoin's market cap is at 831 billion and gold is at 12 trillion, then really, if we do this, so I guess he's pricing it at saying that if we have 21 million Bitcoin for 831 billion, then what he's saying, that's why we have a Bitcoin price of around $40,000 approximately US dollars per one Bitcoin. Meanwhile, he said, why is it not Bitcoin's market cap the same as gold? So obviously, gold and Bitcoin, even though a lot of the Bitcoin maximalists do say that Bitcoin is the new gold, and that it should be replacing gold and so forth. I mean, the reality is that gold is not going to go anywhere. Bitcoin looks like it's here to stay, and these are just completely different asset classes. And personally, I can't see how Bitcoin would get the exact same market cap as gold unless it does get let's say regulated the same way as gold is. Because right now, if you look at every single bank, all the chartered banks, they do carry all across the world, governments, they do carry gold, because gold really is a store of value, and it's also got a tremendous value for trades. Bitcoin right now, even though those of us who are investing in the space are investors of Bitcoin, yet it's not regulated the same way as gold is, meaning that not too many governments in the world are holding Bitcoin, and not too many governments in the world are really, not too many banks obviously are also investing in Bitcoin as of today. This may change in the future, but as of today, I can't see why Peter would say that he sees that Bitcoin today should be, let's say, the same value as gold, because that would mean that if I do $12 trillion divided by the 21 million Bitcoin, then what that would do is that it would mean that each Bitcoin token would be at $571,000. So that would be a tremendous appreciation from today's value, which is something around 39,000. And if I look at, I like looking at the coin market cap. I find that obviously there's coin market cap. There's also CoinGecko that are great tools. If I look at coin market cap, how much is Bitcoin's price today? It's at approximately 40,000 US dollars. So meaning that at the time of his recording a couple of days ago at the Miami conference, Bitcoin was at the same price. So him saying, Peter Thiel saying that he sees, he can't see why Bitcoin isn't the same market cap as gold of $12 trillion. To me, I disagree with. It doesn't mean that in the future Bitcoin may not get there, but it shouldn't be there in its current regulation state and so forth. It will eventually get there, obviously, when hopefully, I should say, when it does get accepted by all the banks and all the government for regulation and so forth. But as of today, it makes sense to me that gold would have a bigger market cap than Bitcoin would. The other point that Peter said was that he also said that if you look at the entire global marketplace for equities, he said those are at approximately at $115 trillion. Okay, and he said Bitcoin should be the exact same value as all these global stock markets. Now, I did some quick searches online. Obviously, I don't have the same tools that, let's say, the traders will have with Bloomberg and so forth. But when I did a quick search online, what I got was that on Wikipedia, as of 2020, the entire world equity market was at $93 trillion. So meaning that, and this was basically as of 2020. So it means that if Peter Thiel was using 115 trillion for his presentation, it does kind of make sense, because it basically means that from 2020, if it was at 92 trillion with inflation and so forth, that it would have appreciated a bit. So now what he's saying is that if I use his number, so basically I'm going to go with his number and say that 115 trillion is the entire market cap of all the global equity market in the world. Well, if it's at 115, this is 115, I'm missing zeros, 115,000 million. I need 3 more zeros. All right, here we go. So 115 trillion would be basically, okay, perfect. 115 trillion is going to be the entire market cap of all the stock markets of the world. And Peter was saying, well, you know what? Hang on a sec. If kind of Bitcoin should be equivalent to this. So again, if we do this kind of analysis, and if we say, okay, if we take this 21 million Bitcoins that are kind of set, it can't be, the software for Bitcoin is set so that you can increase this number of Bitcoin. Then if we take this 115 trillion divided by the 21 million Bitcoins, then he's saying, well, in reality, if we do it this way, then all of a sudden, one Bitcoin would be worth $5.4 million in US dollars. So obviously then that would be a much greater appreciation compared to where it's at today. Now, this I totally disagree with. So why would I say that? Well, if I look at what is the average PE ratio of a company on the S&P 500, the S&P 500 average company is at approximately something in the range of 22.2 today. Obviously, this changes every day because the price, the market cap and price of all these companies changes every day. But today it's going to be something in the range of around 22.2, let's say. Now, obviously, the S&P 500 market cap of all the companies is not the entire global marketplace, because that's probably around a market around 40 trillion. I mean, that represents around maybe if I do 40 divided by 115, it's going to be something in the range of, I guess, like 35% of the entire world's equity market. But let's say if I use the exact same ratio. So if I take this ratio of 22.2 as my PE ratio, and if I have $115 trillion divided by a PE ratio of 22.2, it means that the average company is going to be earning something in the range of, I mean, this is going to be $5 billion a year of earnings, right? So this is going to be the earnings after taxes for the average company on these stock markets. Obviously, when they're value companies, banks, the PE ratio may be lower. If it's companies that are tech companies like the Zooms or let's say the Microsofts and so on, the PE ratio may be higher, but the average is going to be at 22.2. So this means that the average investor is expecting earnings of around something in the range of works out to something in the range of 4.5% of earnings after all the expenses and so forth that the company has incurred. So Bitcoin isn't going to be performing like this. So even though somebody can say, I have my Bitcoin, I'm going to be earning APY on it, and I'm going to be lending it out and so forth. Yes, that could be done, but that's not the same thing as all the companies that have all the real estate, and they have all the wealth, and they have the manufacturing, they have all the sites, and they have all the goodwill. So that's why I found what he said, I disagree with it. So I didn't agree with what Peter Thiel said, saying that Bitcoin is going to be, it should be the same market cap as all the global equities. So I believe that all in all, if I kind of end it here, because the video, he made a lot of other great points also. I mean, I don't want to go into it, because you're better off watching the entire video of Peter Thiel and then seeing what he's talking about, because he also spoke a lot about, he also kind of said how he listed also the enemies of Bitcoin. He also spoke that those who are pro blockchain means that they're anti Bitcoin, which that also I kind of disagree with, because blockchain is kind of the technology, and there's many different protocols, many different players in this blockchain. Cryptocurrency is all these different cryptocurrencies, all these different protocols. Like the Web 3.0 space are obviously they're running on a blockchain, but someone is pro blockchain doesn't mean they're anti Bitcoin. I think they go really hand in hand. And also later on in this video, he spoke about ESG. He said the real enemy for Bitcoin is ESG, because ESG is just a hate factory. And he said is that social governance. And also, he also said a few other things as well, that taking a company public means that you're kind of giving control of a company to the government, because now all of a sudden you're empowering your HR department, you're empowering your lawyers, you're empowering your accountants, you're empowering your CFO. They're the ones who are running the show now, and not you anymore, because now you have to basically be in line with all the requirements of reporting, of, let's say, the SEC and so forth. So obviously that's very interesting that he's saying that. There's a lot of implications involved going public. ESG also is obviously a very big concern right now for many companies, because it looks like the shareholders are paying attention to that as well. So those are things that I'm not an expert in those topics, so I will not give any comments on those. But what you definitely recommend, recommend you watching Peter Thiel's entire video from the Miami conference. But I will end it at this here. So I don't agree with what you said about the market cap of all the entire global market equities should be the same as Bitcoin. I believe that those are completely different, because investing in Bitcoin or investing in gold or investing in equities is probably great to do investments in all of them, because they're kind of like in different categories. And if everyone puts all their eggs in the same basket, God forbid something goes wrong with that basket, then you're in a troublesome situation. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a great keynote by Peter Thiel. I do recommend you all to watch it, and then you'll be able to kind of see if you agree with my points here, or if there's some points that Peter made that you would agree with him more than this over here. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.